So we'll start now with the Metta Bhavana meditation, which is, Metta is the Pali word for Mitrata, friendliness. And so this is a meditation in which we are developing our friendliness, trying to become more friendly than we are right now. And the idea is the following, that if we actually look at our mind, it has many aspects. In particular, it has a rational aspect and it also has an emotional aspect. And very often it is this emotional aspect of our mind which is much stronger than the rational aspect of our mind. So there might be things that we are convinced are good for us. You know, the rational mind thinks this is what is right, this is what I should do. But when push comes to shove, when you're in that actual situation, you find that you don't do what the rational mind tells you is good for you, but you end up doing something out of force of habit or out of some other deeper emotional pull, which in some sense you feel you have no control about whatsoever. So this meditation is actually working on those subterranean aspects of our mind, and it's trying to work directly with it and trying to sort of inculcate in these parts of our mind a more positive inclination, a more positive emotion. And the most basic of all the positive emotions is friendliness. So we are trying to cultivate friendliness. Now if you look at friendliness, it has multiple aspects in it. And in particular, I think it has a receptive aspect and it has a kind of outgoing active aspect. Now if you look at the receptive aspect of friendliness, I think it includes things like openness, a very kindly, non-judgmental awareness. These are things which go with the receptive aspect of friendliness. And if you look at the active, outgoing aspect, there would be things like a kind of willingness to engage with, a well-wishing. These are all things which are more active aspects of friendliness. So in this meditation, we're going to try and develop both of these. We're going to try and work on both the receptive aspect of meditation and also the active, outgoing aspect of meditation. And we are going to do this in a very traditional way. The particular meditation style that we're going to use is a very classic style. It's probably been used for literally thousands of years. And in particular, we know that at least in the 5th century text, the Visuddhimagga, it is described over there, although it was probably practiced even before that. So it is a very classic traditional style. And in this style of meditation, we are going to develop this friendliness with respect to people. Because in a way, most of our interactions are with people, and it is with people who we could be friendly or unfriendly with, who we could be open to or closed to, with whom our emotions could be positive or negative. So it helps a lot to sort of start with people, although of course then this attitude one would extend to all beings, to all situations. But just to keep it concrete, we start in the context of people. And we will do it in 5 stages. So we will firstly develop a friendly emotion towards 4 particular kinds of people. The first is oneself. The second is somebody who is a very good friend. The third is somebody who is traditionally called the neutral person. That is somebody who you don't have any very strong emotional contact with. You neither like the person very much nor do you dislike the person. So, in our kind of society, it could be somebody who you run into occasionally, who you interact with, but who you haven't really sort of, dealt with as a person. You just have this interaction and it moves on, but you have no human connection as such. So this sometimes happens with us, with shop assistants or with some security guard at some society or something like that. We go in and we actually have some interaction, but there's really no real human contact which has happened. So it could be somebody of that sort, who we take as a neutral person. And finally, in the 4th stage, we take somebody with whom we have some kind of difficulty with. To start with, it's probably better to have somebody who you don't have a big problem with, although eventually you'd like to move on to also working on people with whom you have a big problem. But to start with, maybe you start with somebody who you have some slight difficulty with. So these are the 4 people who we will bring to this meditation, and in the 4 stages we will develop, the first 4 stages we will develop this feeling of friendliness towards these 4. And in the 5th stage we will try and develop this friendly, open attitude towards all 4 people equally, and finally we will try and extend that feeling to all people whatsoever, without exception. I'd like to say a couple more things about this attitude of friendliness, and that this attitude of friendliness which we are developing, which we are trying to develop, this positive emotion that we are trying to develop towards people, it's important to have the right approach, I would say, I don't know what to call it, the right attitude to developing this positive emotion. And it's not that we are developing this positive emotion towards people because we expect something in return from them. You know, in a way, it is completely, it's something that you're doing, it's almost an act of generosity. You're doing it with no expectations whatsoever. You know, if that sounds a bit abstruse and hard to connect with, maybe we could think of it in the following way, that we're doing it simply because it is the best thing for us to do, and it is also the best thing that we could do for other people. Yeah. So, and that very often one would find with direct practical experience, you would probably notice that if you have a positive attitude towards yourself, that is probably the best thing that you could do for yourself. And sort of being open and friendly with other people is probably the best thing that you could do for other people. Right? And the moment you do it with some kind of reciprocity, that I'm going to be friendly to that person because I expect that person to give me something, that the moment you get into that kind of business transaction, then it sort of weakens this whole exercise. It's no longer, it's no longer this act of generosity. It's no longer this thing that you're doing just because it is the best thing. You're doing it because you want some selfish return. And so we are trying to stay clear of all of that. We are doing it simply because it's the best thing that we can do for ourselves. It is the best thing that we can do for other people. And I guess the final practical consideration is that it is recommended that when we do this meditation, that the people who we bring to mind should be alive, and they should be roughly our age, and that they should be of the same gender. That is, men should pick men and women should pick women, and ideally not a close family member. So the idea behind these guidelines, they are guidelines, they're not hard and fast rules. The idea behind these guidelines is that if we pick, people who are family members or things like that, there are possibilities of emotions like sentimentality, or if we pick somebody of the opposite gender, there might be ideas of romance and things like that which grow in our mind. Which I'm not saying that these are necessarily bad things, although in the ultimate analysis, sentimentality and kind of romantic attachment are not particularly useful. But that aside, what the point of this meditation is not to develop romantic feelings or to develop sentimental feelings. We are trying to develop an open, positive attitude towards people of all kinds. And so for that reason, we have this guideline not to pick an immediate family member or to pick somebody of the opposite gender, so that the kind of positive emotion that you are generating is likely to be an emotion which you are generating without an expectation. So usually when it would be a family member, the sentimentality also actually has some reciprocity in it. My family member, therefore you expect something, and that person also would be attached to you and so on. And similarly in romantic feelings, I'm extending something to this person, I expect that person to give me something back. And we are trying to get out of this reciprocity. We're just trying to unilaterally have an open, friendly attitude towards all people. Okay, so let's start. So firstly, we just sit comfortably, with the body relaxed, with the mind at ease. We sit with the back erect, with the spine straight, but at the same time without holding any tension anywhere in the body. now we could become aware of the sensation in our legs, just the sensation of contact between the floor or the cushion and our legs, just aware of that sensation. Gradually bringing the awareness up along the legs, aware of the cushion that we are sitting on, just aware of the contact with the cushion. Bringing the awareness up along the back, to the shoulders, allowing the shoulder blades to descend slightly, to relax any tension which may be there. Relaxing the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the palms, the fingers. Now bringing the awareness back along the arms, to the shoulders, the back of the neck, just allowing that area to relax. Relax the back of the head, relax the crown of the head. Relax the forehead, the eyes, allowing the eyeballs to become soft. Relaxing the cheeks, allowing the skin and flesh of the cheeks to just flow down towards the ground. Relaxing the lower jaw. Relaxing the throat. If it helps, you could imagine as you breathe out that your out breath is diffusing through the skin and flesh of your throat, and as that breath diffuses out, that whole area relaxes. Now take a few moments to fix on the people who you will bring to this meditation. One, yourself. Two, a good friend. Somebody roughly the same age as you. Ideally of the same gender, someone who you don't have any romantic feelings towards, or any sentimental attachment towards. So you just pick such a person. Third is a neutral person, somebody who you know, who you have seen, maybe even you see every day, but with whom you really had no great contact, someone you neither like nor dislike. And fourthly, someone with whom you have some difficulty. So what we are trying to do in this meditation is to encourage positive feelings, particularly feelings of friendliness, friendly, open attitude. There are many ways to do this. So one of them would be to actually say in one's mind certain phrases which could encourage positive emotion. So we could do that, and then when we get to that stage, I will say the phrases, and you could say them to yourself in your mind. And the other is not through words, but through symbols and images. So for example, you could imagine maybe giving the person something nice, maybe flowers, or you could imagine sprinkling petals on them, or you could imagine enveloping them in some warm light. Just through these mental images, try and encourage positive feelings. So different approaches work differently for different people. And sometimes one approach works better for you, and sometimes another. So one could be a little creative. Just try whichever of the methods works well for you at that time. Metta Bhavana, first stage, oneself. Firstly, just becoming aware of oneself, of how you're feeling right now, the emotional tone of your mood. Just an open, kindly, non-judgmental awareness. Whatever we are feeling is whatever you're feeling. It's where we are right now. So we start just by becoming aware of it. Just by being willing to engage with it, be open with it. Whatever we are feeling, it's okay. We may be feeling a bit tired. Our mind might be jumping around, a bit excited, maybe bored, we may be sleepy. Maybe upset. Doesn't matter. We just become aware of it in a kindly, open, non-judgmental way. Just turning towards becoming willing to engage with whatever we are feeling right now. Whatever we are feeling now is a consequence of things that have happened in the past. We can't change it. What we can change is our attitude. An open, friendly, well-wishing attitude is the best attitude we could have, regardless of what we're feeling right now. It's the most helpful thing that we could develop. So we could say to ourselves the following phrases, and we could say each phrase being aware of its meaning, so that the emotions it generates fills up our mind the way ripples spread over a pond when you drop a stone in it. We could say, may I be well. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I progress. We could repeat these phrases to ourselves, just making sure that we don't do it in a mechanical way, but with awareness of their meaning. We could also bring our awareness to the area around our heart. You could imagine it filled with a warm red light, a light of openness, gentle awareness, non-judgmental awareness. Light is willing to engage with, light full of well-wishing, light of friendliness. Just allow that light gradually spread out from the region around our heart to envelop our whole being. Metta Bhavana, second stage. Good friend. Bringing to mind our good friend, imagining their face in our mind's eye, perhaps imagining them seated here with us. We naturally have an open attitude towards our good friend. We're receptive to what they say. Deeply aware of them. We wish them well in our heart of hearts. In so many ways, our good friend brings out what is the best in us as human beings. Just allowing the positive emotions which arise when we bring to mind our good friend, just encouraging them to grow. We could say silently in our minds to our good friend, may you be well. As before, we say it with meaning, understanding what we are saying, so that we become aware of the emotions that they generate, that these words generate. We allow that emotion to spread through our mind. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you progress. We could repeat these prayers. Or we could try an approach which is more symbolic, working with images. And we just allow that warm red light, light of openness, gentle awareness, of well-wishing, light of friendliness, to expand outwards and envelop our good friend. Metta Bhavana, third stage, neutral person. Bringing to mind, neutral person. Maybe picturing their face in our mind's eye. Perhaps imagining them sitting here with you. And trying to become aware of the neutral person as a person. A person whose life is as complex as our own. With its own ups and downs. Its own emotional pushes and pulls. We could relate to this person on the basis of our shared humanity. Could have an open, friendly, well-wishing attitude towards this person. And it will bring out the best in us. And it will be the best thing that we can do for this person. So we could say to him or her, and really meaning what we say, oneself to feel the emotional strength behind the words. We could say, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you progress. We could go back to the warm red light in our hearts, light of openness, calm, gentle awareness, light of well-wishing, light of friendliness. Could allow this light to expand outwards to include the usual person. Metta Bhavana, fourth stage. Person with whom we have some difficulty. Bringing to mind a person with whom we have some difficulty. Firstly, just becoming aware, just having an open, gentle awareness of what you feel, what it feels like when you bring to mind a person with whom you have some difficulty. And maybe you could imagine this person seated here with you. Just gentle, non-judgmental awareness. Reflect that just like ourselves, this person also wants to avoid suffering and to be happy. Perhaps our difficulty arises because they perceive us as being in the way when they try to avoid suffering and to be happy. That sense, this difficulty may not be really so personal. It's just the way circumstances are. In any case, we could reflect that if we respond to this difficulty with anger and with hatred, it won't really solve this problem. If we have a willingness to engage, an open, friendly attitude, we might well be able to transcend the situation and resolve whatever difficulties we are having. Buddha said, hatred is never solved with hatred in this world. It's only solved by love. This is the eternal law. So we could try and cultivate an open, friendly attitude towards this person. We could say, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you progress. Or we could allow that warm red light of openness, gentle awareness, non-judgmental awareness, of willingness to engage with, of well-wishing, light of friendliness, to expand outwards and include this person. Metta Bhavana, fifth and last stage. Firstly, bringing to mind all four people, oneself, aware of oneself, calm, gentle, non-judgmental, friendly awareness. Good friend, neutral person, person with whom you're having some difficulty. Just trying to develop an equally friendly, equally open attitude towards all four. Gradually expanding outwards, expanding this attitude of friendliness to include everybody in this room. May they all be well. Including all the beings in the neighborhood, all the birds, the animals, humans, all beings, may all the beings be well. Just allowing that attitude to gradually expand outwards in all directions, both above and below. Just extend out to include all beings situated throughout space, without exception. May they all be free from suffering. May those who we like be happy. May those who we dislike also be happy. May those who like us be happy. May those who dislike us be happy. Allowing this open, friendly attitude expand out, include all beings without exception. May they all be happy in their hearts of hearts. gradually, in your own time, bringing the meditation to a close, bringing your awareness back, sitting here in this room.